Hi guys, it's Tori. Been thinking about the difference between American exceptionalism and inevitability lately, probably mostly because the healthcare bill passed, and it's been brought to my attention recently that my generation thinks America was inevitable, that it was just going to happen, and somebody was going to be the leader, and it fell to us. So it is what it is, and I think that's kind of sad. I think that's really quite sad, actually, because it's not true. That's why it's sad, and also because it leads, at least on my generation's part, it leads to a very big lack in civic involvement that we think America sort of always has been, at least in our the history that we know. We feel like America sort of always has been, like, I don't know, the world leader essentially, and it's not the case. This country was founded to be different. I think that I was most struck by this when on Sunday my family went down to OMSI. It's the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. My dad's a huge science geek, and it was his birthday, and so we went down, and they have an IMAX theater there, 79-foot dome screen. I thought I was going to be sick. Actually, I wasn't sick or dizzy. I was quite proud of myself. But we went to go see a IMAX movie about the Hubble Space Telescope, and sort of learned a little bit about the history, and they had a lot of footage of the astronauts fixing the telescope. It had some technical glitches, really wasn't working out the way that they had hoped. So they sent up numerous space shuttle crews to go and try to fix the telescope. And looking at all of this equipment, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment that we, threw up into space. I was really struck just by the fact that America is consistently the leader in research and new technology development. And that's not an accident. It's not. It's no, I mean, I just, to compare, I suppose, the Nigerian dream is to see all of your children live to adulthood. The American dream is to see your children have a better life than you do. At least it is for people on the right. The left really confuses me right now. I'm like, do you want your kids to have a better life, or do you want your kids to be average and equal? This whole equality of results thing that they seem to be all about. I sincerely don't get it. I mean, if equality is one of your values, then so be it. It's not one of mine. It wasn't one of mine even as a liberal. But yeah, it was just like, okay, this is important. We did something different intentionally. When this country was founded, it was founded on the premise of exceptionalism intentionally, not some sort of haphazard, oh, it'll just get to be, this big, huge nation. And it's really sad to me. So many people my age have very little civic involvement, civic knowledge whatsoever. And they think, oh gee, like the founding fathers had no idea that America was going to be, a few 100 million people. They couldn't have foreseen that. And it's just really sad because it's like, yeah, they did. That's what they hoped for, and that's what they dared expect. It was cautious optimism, but they did foresee our country being huge, population-wise, and they wanted people to come here and to be able to escape from tyranny, not to throw out buzzwords and be a sensationalist and get everybody all riled up, but that's really, truly why this country was founded. And it happens to be the perfect breeding ground for people to be able to come up with new ideas and to be able to try different things. And if you fail, it doesn't mean that you are just down and out permanently. You can get up, you can try again. And I'm not sure why this was so important to me. I'm really not. But it is, and it will continue to be. As a former liberal, I struggle with the concept of nationalism. For the longest time, my political affiliation on Facebook was anti-nationalist. I was so, when I was liberal, I was so opposed to nationalism. And I very much see exceptionalism, American exceptionalism, as different than like nationalism. And I don't really know where I fall on the whole nationalism debate still. I'm kind of working through that. There's definitely some things that I need to still work through as I'm transitioning back to conservative values and a conservative mindset. So I haven't really landed on the nationalism issue. And this isn't about like, oh, we're just the best and everybody else can go screw themselves. That's not what this is about at all. America was never about that. This is very much about the fact that we chose to be different intentionally. That's what our founders wanted, and they pulled it off. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'd imagine that they probably all died with their fingers crossed, just hoping against hope that this American experiment would turn out, that it wouldn't just bomb. And they pulled it off by the grace of God only, but it worked. And it's really sad to see our country going in a different direction. I mean, Dennis Prager talks about how America is kind of heading towards this sort of European socialist model, which, once again, it's not trying to be sensationalist, it's just true. Like, we're trying to be more like Europe in this country, at least our leadership. That's what they're kind of striving for, and that's who they compare us to. And Europe doesn't stand for anything. I mean, Prager talks about this all the time. He's like, Europe doesn't stand for anything. America is exceptional intentionally. It didn't just happen, and it's not just going to stay that way. Like, it's something that has to be intentionally protected. And I really wish that my generation would get that. That would be really great. That would be my hope for my generation, so that they would really understand that this doesn't just happen, that being at the forefront of new technology and development and research is not an accident. That it was a culture in this country that was intentionally nurtured, and it is a culture in this country that can disappear, that it is not necessarily going to stay that way. I firmly believe that if anybody can survive socialized medicine, the United States can. I'm not freaking out about socialized medicine necessarily. I don't think it's awesome. It was a bad choice. That bill was just a bad bill. You could have way better socialized medicine than that piece of shit. But that said, I think we can make it, even with socialized medicine. I mean, if anybody can do it, we can. We'll be worse off for it for sure, but it's not the end. It's not the end of the country. It's not even necessarily the end of American exceptionalism. Although we're moving away from it, and that's the most frightening part. So yeah, I guess especially if you're in your 20s or 30s, like, get involved, do research, read history. If you don't read history, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to apologize for that. You're just a fool if you don't read history. You need to understand where this country came from, and where it's going, where it should go. And regardless of what side you fall on the issue of socialized medicine or whatever else, do research and get involved, because there isn't a lot of time left to just kind of dawdle around and be like, oh yeah, this is just going to last forever, because America is awesome, but it's not permanent.